Welcome back to this episode of a Girl Business Podcast. Today with me is Lisa, owner of Crescent Country Antique and Gift Shop. Thank you for coming on, Lisa.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I hope you're not still too nervous.
No, I'm good.
Okay, good. She was really shy about coming on, so if anybody is anything but really nice to her, I'll skin you alive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll supply the knife.
She sells them. They're really cute. All right, so I know your store, like so many of us in the area do, right there, the heart of Indian Valley.
Yeah.
So tell me the whole story from the beginning. How did this all come about?
So my parents moved up here from Salinas, Monterey County in 1975, and they bought the Crescent Hotel. And my mom did the restaurant, and my dad did the bar. And they remodeled the whole hotel into it. Actually, at first it was like truck drivers and loggers and mill workers would stay there, and then they finally changed it over to an Airbnb, which we really enjoyed because we just got really great people. So they ran that for 22 years. Well, I think it was in 1984, my mom was going stir crazy, cooking Sunday brunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and taking care of the hotel rooms. And, Dad ran the bar, and he did all the bookwork, yucky stuff. Anyway, at that point, my mom was bored, and she was talking to some of the ladies, and they opened a co-op in what was the little cabin outside, which my grandma had lived there until she passed, and then my brother lived there, and then I lived there. And so it was this little cottage on the side of the hotel. Everybody lived there, it seemed like. And so they started a little co-op with, I think, 14 women to begin with. And great group of ladies. Most of them made things. So it was back when crafting was really big, when that was really coming out. A lot of them were moms with kids still at home. Like I said, there was 14 of them. And as time went on, people dropped out because it became more work. And then one winter, and I don't remember what winter it was, the roof leaked in that little cabin. And so my mom decided to convert the front dining room in the hotel into a gift shop. Well, then I think there was maybe 6 ladies at that time. Well, I was hostessing and waitressing in the restaurant. And when there wasn't, a lot of times people would go, oh, we want to go in the gift shop. So, I'd be waiting tables at dinner time, and then I would go into the gift shop with them and sell and talk to them and stuff. And then one of the other ladies that were in the co-op didn't want to work. They would ask me to work. So then I would fill in, and it was just my niche. I loved selling. And then I started going to market with my mom, which previous to that my dad had done, and he did all the scouring for antiques and stuff. So I would go with him with that. We'd do estate sales and stuff. And then slowly, like 2 of the ladies went off. One went back to school. One went to become a travel agent. She still tends bar in Quincy, Barbara Newman. Also, Jackie McCutcheon went off to open her own store. Emily Webb went off to open her own store. So everybody kind of just scattered, and then ended up Mom and I. And then we would go to market twice a year, once in August, I think, to San Francisco, and then we would go somewhere farther in January and February. And just loved it. And it was a real special time for my mom and I to go do the shopping and stuff. And so I joined in 87 full time. And then I don't know what year it was, and I should have looked that up. Mom wanted to expand, and she was kind of tired of the hotel. My dad was tired of the hotel. It was a lot of work.
Oh, I'm sure.
In 22 years of running a restaurant, and they had really good years. People used to come for dinner and stuff from all over the county.
That's awesome.
And so it was great, and we had great clientele for the Airbnb. So they bought the property across the street, and they remodeled the house first, which is behind Crescent Country. and everybody, there was quite a few people that came into the bar and asked my dad, who is that crazy person remodeling that old crappy house across the street? And he's like, that's my wife. Anyway, they took it down. It was no foundation. Mike Bonkyo and his sons, I mean, everybody worked on the house, and then they did the building before. The front building was originally built as a produce stand. And when I was in my preteen, early teens, I used to take my roller skates that I had moved up here with. There was nowhere to go roller skating, so I would roller skate inside the fruit stand. And so anyway, they converted that whole building, and that's where we're at today. And I'm in the home. Mom and Dad have both since passed, and I'm in the home behind the shop, and it's real convenient. I'm still late for work a lot of times, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, you're your own boss, so
yeah,
so that's fine.
Yeah.
So is it the hotel that's across the street, the one that's being remodeled right now?
Yes, yeah. And he just came into the Indian Valley Museum and did a presentation on and showed pictures and everything, and it's going to be great. That's Matt Fogarty, and he also owns the grocery store, which we're all hoping will be open this spring, early summer, and then the hotel hopefully by next year.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting to see all of that. At first when we sold the hotel, I was super sentimental because I grew up there, and it was really hard to see any changes, but now I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, and it'll be nice to have downtown Crescent Mills up and running again.
Was it hard to see them do the remodeling and because they have to take away rip down pieces? Was that hard?
No, actually it's very exciting because the building was so in disrepair because it was built in 1926. And so it's really neat to see everything. And when we bought it, it was hard because the electrical, plumbing, everything, I think in the old days what would happen is something would break, something wouldn't be working, and whoever was sitting at the bar, be they drunk or not, I can fix that. So there was wires kind of going everywhere. And so Mom and Dad would try to fix something, and it's the wires would just be just really crazy. So it's really exciting. Everything is being replaced and new and up to code. And so that's pretty exciting. The bar sink, it used to just go right under the building. It didn't go to a septic or anything. So it was
my gosh.
So yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty exciting to see all of that happening.
That's awesome. Do you have pictures of how the hotel used to be that are going to be in the new hotel?
I think Matt has been gathering those up. When we sold the hotel, we left a lot of artifacts in there, and then the people we sold it to, unfortunately, had yard sales, and they kind of raped and pillaged the place. I mean, they sold toilets, doors. I mean, it was really bad. So
were they? I might want to cut this out, but were they from the Bay Area?
No, they were actually from the East Coast, but
wow.
they just didn't care. They weren't invested in the area.
Right.
But I think Matt loves the area now, and I think he's at the slideshow, he showed some historical pictures and stuff. So he's been gathering that stuff up, and hopefully we'll find more. And hopefully he's going to do a little Crescent Mills museum too.
Oh, that would be awesome.
So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. And when does it ready to?
He said hopefully a year.
Okay. Mark your calendars.
Yeah.
Mark your calendars.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll all be celebrating. Yeah.
It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, and there'll be some great jobs too for people too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. What was it like growing up in a hotel?
It was good. When they first bought it, what was hard was it was a really rough and tumble bar. Back then, there was a lot of logging, mining, kind of crazy people. Crescent Mills actually is called Crazy Mills.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Every little town has a little nickname.
Oh, Crazy Mills. Okay.
And so anyway, my mom and I weren't allowed downstairs after dark when we first bought the hotel because there was some pretty wild characters there.
Oh my goodness.
And it was, it was just rough. It was really rough. There was a lot of fights. we had a great police department at that time. There was a lot of deputies and sheriff, but they wouldn't come. You'd call and they'd be like, "Oh, just lock the door and let them fight it out." Dad would kick them outside, and then they'd say, "Just lock the door and kick them out and let them fight it out." I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah. So, and it was cute. This story, I've told it 1,000 times because it's just so funny. So one time, after we first bought it, my mom, we had like a laundry room, and I don't know if the door was locked or not, but we inherited some people that lived there full time when we bought the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
There was an old guy that, and they didn't lock the doors. People would go from the bar and go upstairs and do whatever they needed if there was an empty room. And then, so it was really wild.
Was it kind of a brothel? I'm getting
well,
brothel
no,
vibes.
nobody was paying for anything.
Okay. That's the difference.
Yeah. But one time my mom was going upstairs in the evening and the bar was packed. It was kind of fun, and they had a pool table in the front, and then the back room had foosball, different kinds of machines. I think there was two pool tables, and then they used to have guys that had machines in all the little places. So there was all kinds of Pac-Man and all the original games were back there. And so Mom was going upstairs, and when she came around the corner, there was these two scraggly guys coming downstairs, and they had their arms full of stuff. They had like a coffee maker and stuff, and just all this stuff in their arms. Both of them had their arms full. And my mom looked at the guy and she said, "That's my axe." And so one of them had the axe in his hand, and he just handed it to her, and then they ran out the back door. And my mom's like, "Oh, shoot." And so she runs back around, yelling to my dad, "Jack, we've just been robbed. There's some guys that just," well, in those days, all the guys had like guns in the back window of their pickup and stuff. So I think 6 or 8 of them all jumped up in a truck and drove around trying to catch these guys. And, of course, we called the police and stuff. And I don't think the guys were ever caught. So I don't know if they were off the train or if they had a getaway vehicle or whatever. But I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, my mom was this like, probably in her maybe early 30s, beautiful woman. And she's like, "That's my axe." And I still have that axe. I actually just refinished it and had Lonnie Partee make me a new leather cover for it, but
cool.
It's like, nowadays somebody would crack your head open with that axe.
Yeah, with an axe.
Yeah. So, but we had all the camping gear in there, and I think that's what they were taking was like the camping gear and stuff.
Yeah.
They were probably homeless or something, but.
Oh, that's insane. Did that happen a lot, or was it a relatively safe area?
It was relatively safe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, there was a lot of unsavory characters back in the day, but, I was young and I didn't, you're kind of clueless and don't think of it being dangerous.
Yeah.
Of course, my parents did, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's too good.
Yeah.
So you said it started off as a co-op, and I know that we have a co-op here, the grocery store co-op.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. I don't know what a co-op is. Is that just a nonprofit?
Well, no, it wasn't nonprofit. It was just a group of ladies, and everybody worked so many days a month, and then I think they paid rent too. And then, there was like a cleaning schedule and, stuff like that. And so it was more just like a shared store space.
Okay.
My mom owned the building, but everybody, I think they paid and they worked so many hours a month or so many days a month.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what it was.
Got it.
And, we'd have to keep track, and I don't even remember who did the bookkeeping, but, you'd have to write down everybody's stuff. That was pre-computer. Mm-hmm. And so you'd write down everybody's stuff as it sold, and then at the end of the month, you tally it all up and pay everybody. And I do that with consignment in the store now. So I have several consignment people. And so, that's kind of easier because I think with the co-op, it makes it hard because, there's always somebody that doesn't want to work.
Right.
Which is how I got involved in it, which actually worked out great for me because I love buying and selling. So, and I didn't know that. So it worked out good for me. But I kind of grew up. Yeah, I kind of grew up doing that. I mean, I used to go with my parents, yard sailing, junking. I grew up going to gun and antique shows with my dad and powwows and stuff. And he was really into Native American stuff and handguns, and bought and sold that. And, we did gun shows and stuff. So I think I got into it at an early age, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Antique Roadshow?
No, I have not. I would
real?
like to go. And actually, what's really cool is Indian Valley Museum. I think they've been hosting it 3 or 4 years now. They can't call it that, but it's an antique appraisal thing that they have a lady that's an expert, just like you see on the shows, and you can take your stuff in and have it done, and everybody says it's a blast. I'm always working, but
cool.
yeah, so that happens in Taylorsville. I didn't bring the calendar, but we do have the date picked for that. I think it might be the same day as the Indian Valley yard sales, but I'm not sure.
Oh, I didn't know about that either.
Oh, yeah, that's way fun. I should have brought a calendar.
Well,
yeah, we'll do. Well, I'll give you a calendar.
Yeah.
And you can share it.
I'll put it in the description. We'll have all this
Yeah.
stuff in the description, because
Yeah.
that's like really cool. Does it go on
Yeah.
all summer?
The
The yard sales?
No, it's one weekend, and in fact, we're meeting next week. I'm on the group for that. It's usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, and then a lot of people do it Sunday to try to get rid of the rest of their stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a fundraiser for Indian Valley Chamber of Commerce, and it's really good. Sometimes there'll be 30, 40 yard sales.
Yeah.
So it's fun. I mean, people come with trucks and spend all day just scouring the place.
Yeah,
So.
I'm sure there's a lot of history
Yeah.
in those yard sales.
Yeah. Not as much as there used to be after the fire, and then now a lot of the people that come to my Saturday markets, they like to set up in the parking lot on that same, one of the days to, try and sell stuff too. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I know a lot of people are into antiquing, and
Yeah.
I think especially even in my generation now, it's like coming back.
Yeah, finally, yeah.
Yeah, which,
Yeah.
it's gorgeous stuff. So
Yeah.
what are like some pro tips for when you go out and you're looking for antiques? What do you look for?
Everybody hates shopping with me, I'll tell you that.
Well, okay, give me all the details. Okay, we're with the pro here. Okay, I need to know. What's
Well,
like step
I go
one?
in and I can scour, but I like to look at everything, and then I'll come out with all this stuff, and my friends will be like, "Where'd you find that?" And I go, "On that table over there." And they go, "We looked at that table and we didn't see that." So it's just having an eye and being able to look and know what hopefully will sell. And so, like I said, I grew up doing that more with my dad. My mom was tied to the hotel shopping. I mean, working all the time. So Dad and I would get to go junking. And so it's just, there's not really, it's hard with the shop because that's my business and my livelihood. And I still like to go for fun. Like I just went to Fort Bragg with my girlfriends, and I wasn't going to do any work, but I still found treasures, for the shop. So I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But it's hard as an individual. It's a lot more fun because if you love something and it's a certain price and it's for your home, you want to spend it. Where I always have to find something for a price that I can afford to resell it and warrant it taking up a spot in the shop. So, but I've got a couple great consignment people that bring antiques in. So that's really nice because they buy stuff that I probably wouldn't buy, but it still adds a nice thing to the shop.
Yeah.
And gives people more choices.
Yeah.
So that's always fun.
So do you have a direction? Because I don't know how to explain it, but when you go into each store, it's like they all have their own kind of vibe and their own style. So how would you describe the style for your store?
Oh, gosh.
Because it definitely has one.
I couldn't describe it because it's a little bit of everything, and I try to have something for everyone. And as you've been in there, so there's each little section, little Western section, little lodgy section, girly section, the drink mixes and the food products have done really well the last few years, especially since COVID, and because of the economy. People can justify buying something useful that they can consume, like candles or food products or drink products, and so that stuff is done really well, and that's kind of a really nice bread and butter. But
Pun intended.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I don't know, I don't know how you would describe my shop. I don't know. I mean, because I have vintage and new, and I've added more clothing. I don't know.
It's Lisa.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because when my mom and I had it, it was great because of the generational difference. Um, there was a little bit of both of us in there, and now it's a little bit more funky, some of it, where my mom wasn't that way. She was very classic and traditional. And sometimes when we'd be shopping together, I'm like, oh, I want to get this for the shop, and she's like, oh, okay, if it doesn't sell, you're buying it, because it wasn't something that she liked. But now I've put that little spin. In fact, one of my elder friends that I just adored, she's like, the shop feels like you now. She said, I loved your mom, but the shop feels like you now.
Yeah.
So, but I still have bits and pieces of my mom and dad in there. I wish I could have more of what my dad used to do, but that stuff is getting obsolete. My dad used to buy a lot of Western and Native American stuff that you just can't find anymore. I do have a new gentleman that I'm hoping is going to put some of that stuff in the shop this spring.
Yeah.
So,
how do you find those people? Are they called curators?
well, kind of. They're I call them other junkers like me. It's like both of them. Both of the gentlemen that have put the antiques in are just collectors. One had an antique store or had booths in antique stores pre the Paradise Fire, and he lost everything in the store in the fire and everything in his home. And then now he started, afterwards started buying and ended up with a whole storage unit of stuff. And then his wife was like, we don't have any more room in the house, so now he brings it to me to sell. And then the other gentleman, he's not really a cowboy, but I kind of call him like an old cowboy because he specialized in the same kind of stuff my dad did, a lot of Western stuff. And he actually has some things that he bought from my dad.
Oh my gosh.
And so, yeah, and I've got my dibs on a couple things that he teases me with that I really want. 'Cause he even has the tag with my dad's writing on it.
My
I'm like, I'm getting that.
How special.
And he's like, I won't sell it to anybody else, but if you're going to sell it, I might. And I'm like, I'm not going to sell it.
Oh,
but
cool.
anyway, so I'm excited about him bringing his products in because he gets neat. I've had him before, and I think last year we didn't end up connecting, but he has like vintage branding irons and old Western barware and neat wall stuff, cowboy wall stuff. So I'm excited about that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so.
That's awesome. And then you have some of your stuff here today, some of your beautiful inventory.
Which was really hard to pick what what to bring. This is my new favorite line. It's Compendium Books, and I started carrying those 2 years ago, I believe. And all of their books are for age 99 and below. And so you could buy them for a grandpa or a grandma, or you could buy them for a toddler, or you could buy them for a high school graduation. They're just all really meaningful, super great gifts. Aromatique, the fragrance line that we carry, it's out of Arkansas, and we started buying that probably in the 80s. And the lady started making her fragrance things on her kitchen table at her house.
Oh my gosh.
And now it's big. It's sold all over the place. In fact, my niece was in Europe a couple years ago, and she said she walked into a little gift shop and she was like, oh, it smells like Crescent Country. It smells like Grandma's store, and it was because they had the Aromatique product in there.
Yeah.
And it's a really good product. We've carried lots of different candle lines over the year. A lot of them have went mainstream, like Yankee Candle. We used to have a huge selection, but they sell everywhere now, so it's not special anymore. I do have a couple other little candle lines in the shop that are great also. They just have like a little bit of everything and fragrances for everybody. And I have French soaps that I didn't bring any of those that we've carried since we were a co-op. The Barbaras, Barbara Baileywick. They were the Baileywick's is what they called when they were the co-op, and they brought in these French soaps, and we still carry that line. That is wonderful. They're hard milled French soaps that you just can't beat.
Yeah.
This company here is out of San Francisco, and they are doing custom now. So I did the Indian Valley towels and bags and different things with them, which I'm hoping I'm going to get some Indian Valley stuff from you. And this foot and hand cream Awakenings is like the best. That was one of the funny things that when Mom and I were at market, we walked by this booth, and it's kind of like, they're either squirting you with perfume or lotions or whatever they have, they're trying to sell you as you're walking through, kind of like going into an old-fashioned department store. Well, this lotion, he gave us a squirt of the lotion and gave us a sample when we walked by, and it was wonderful, but we carried another line at the time, and we thought it was too expensive. Well, now it's really expensive, but it's the best product. It takes like a pea-sized drop, and I mean, your hands and feet feel fabulous like all day long. The Soulmate socks are great. That was a woman-owned business that she started with wool socks. It's all recycled cotton. They're just wonderful, super cozy.
They feel amazing.
They're warm in the winter, and I wear them throughout the summer, even hiking and stuff. So they're great. We carry Stonewall Kitchen food products
Delicious.
that are awesome. And the Republic of Tea, which is
British approved. British Paul said 2 thumbs up for the British teas.
Yeah. And then flowers, we have a lot of artificial flowers. Robert's Fairy Gourmet products, which are these wonderful little espresso beans. I have a lot of nuts and products from them that are great, like grab and go food snacks and stuff.
These are really good.
Yeah, that's a dark chocolate espresso bean, but they do wonderful almonds and rancher's mix and different things that are great, and it's made, down in the nuts in the valley. But great product. So I specialize too. A lot of people have a lot of vintage linens. This is a new piece, the runner, but I have always had a lot of vintage linens. That was one of the things that Mom and I would like just buy a box full, and then we go home, wash it, iron it, and look at it. And a lot of people don't do doilies and stuff anymore, but there is a resurgence of people coming back and doing that, or using it in a different way, draping doilies over a window, or different things, wrapped around a bridal bouquet, or there's a lot of different things that you can do with the vintage linens. So we love having those too. I've got 4 girlfriends that one's been with us almost 30 years. The other 2 have been over 20 years, and I couldn't do it without my girls. And every year they're like, we got to do it again.
It's that time.
Yeah, and we have fun. We do it, but it's always great because, we have a good time, and they're just super, super, I couldn't do it without my tribe.
Yeah.
So that, and the support of the people that, come to the store. Like you, hopefully you'll be coming there now forever.
Of course, absolutely.
But we have, like for the open house, and then during the summer, there's people that have come. Sometimes, especially at Christmas time, I have like 4th generation, that their grandparents brought their kids, and then now those kids bring their kids and their grandchildren. And so sometimes I actually will have like 4 generations in the store at one time. And
my God.
And it's so neat because they remember all of the changes over the years, and it just, I don't know, it's just, and they give you a hug, and it's like, it's like family coming back, and I'm so thrilled when they come back all the time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So.
That means that we all know you're absolutely doing something right.
Yeah.
Because you look at the Yelp, you look at the Google, you're so loved in the community.
Aww.
So what do you think is that special factor? What advice would you give somebody that is wanting to get into the industry or to run a gift shop?
I would say love what you do, and I do get irritated and get tired of it when business is slow and stuff, but, and don't overdo it. Start small, because it's so hard to get overwhelmed. There's so much product out there, And, I mean, like the store, there is so much product in there. I mean, the inventory is insane. But when I travel and I go to other shops, I'm like, God, I would love to have a simpler shop. But oh no, I need to order that, or no, I need more of that,
right, right.
So it's
this
really
will fix all my problems.
Yeah, yeah, and shopping therapy is big on both ends of the job, and so that's like I say, I'll go. I'm not going to do anything for the shop, but shopping therapy is good, and so it's great to have good product and stuff. But I think the main thing is just to love what you do, and when you quit loving it, get out of it. In whatever you do, and I feel that I have some friends that are in horrible jobs right now, that they're so miserable, they're getting sick, and I'm like, just, but it's hard because like my job, there's no retirement, so I'm in I'm in trouble, I'm stuck, but it's like for people that have jobs that they have a good benefits and they have retirement, it's really kind of sad where like with me, I'm going to have to struggle and work probably forever at something. But I sure would rather do that than to be stuck in a job with, and it's like, my girls are great. My customers are great. I mean, I probably get one irritating person a year, and usually it's not because of the store or anything. It's because of something that's going on in their lives, and I hopefully can change that when they come in and give them some tea and chocolate covered espresso beans and improve their day.
If that doesn't help you, you're beyond help, babe. Sorry, you need therapists, not a gift shop at that point.
Yeah.
So have you ever worked like a typical 9 to 5?
No, not really, because which I'm pretty blessed and cursed at the same time with that. I did move to Reno for a while, and I did work in Macy's, like doing gift wrap at Christmas time one time. But I've always just worked for my parents, which was good in some ways, but it was bad in other ways because I got away with a lot, and my coworkers, I was the spoiled daughter, but I also learned so much. I mean, I couldn't have ever had the work ethic that I have now had it not been for Georgette and Mary, the older waitresses at my parents' hotel. And they both, saying something from working for my parents, they both worked for my parents over 20 years, and so it was a great environment and to learn a lot. And, both my parents had great work ethics. I mean, just, and really, but I don't know that I would want to work, when I've toyed with the idea of selling, and my mom had cancer several times, and we tried to sell several times and did not sell. But I tried to sell after the fire and actually had a buyer. And I was like, I can't go to work for somebody else, because I knew if I sold, I would have to work for somebody else. And sometimes that sounds great to not have to like go home and worry, how am I going to pay the bills? But on the other hand, it's like, I don't know. It'd be awful to answer to somebody.
Yeah, it's
and I am controlling. So, I mean, and the girls laugh because my mom was too. But that's why it's the way it is. It's like because I have it in my own mind. And they laugh at me because, I'll plan like a Christmas display and they're like, oh God, that sounds weird. And then I'm like, just do it. Trust me. They do it. And then they're like, oh my God, that was beautiful. And I think it's my favorite.
Yeah.
So that part's nice. And they're all super talented too. So we bounce ideas off of them and stuff, off of each other. But yeah, I don't know about working for somebody else. But it kind of would be fun to like just go waitress for somebody and not have to like think about it,
Yeah. Maybe not like an office job.
No,
like a little...
Yeah, I could never do an office job. But that's the part I hate in the business is the office part. I'm so grateful for a good bookkeeper. And, I mean, it's... I was told after my mom passed, oh, you'll never make it. And then my dad was always in the office, looking at everything and telling me, he'd add up all my bills and go, how are you going to pay that? And I'm like, Dad, stay out of the office. And it all worked out. But Yeah, the office part is not my favorite
It's
part.
not fun at all. And it's
no.
I had one of the co-owners of Lilith's place.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like all of us creative girls, we feel the same way. We
Yeah.
love the creative, the shopping, thinking of
Yeah.
the displays. And then you get almost like brain whiplash when you have to go to the other side and do the numbers and the paperwork and the IRS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, little secret, I haven't cleaned the drawers out since my mom passed in 2014. So yeah, I don't like office work.
Oh, it's so much, and
Yeah.
I can't. I've only been in business for a year, and I feel like I already have a ton of paperwork, so I couldn't imagine
Yeah.
having all that paperwork for so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah. I need a big bonfire for sure.
So you said that you had a buyer, and you did
yeah.
almost sell.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird, and I thought I was ready, but when it came down to it, I wasn't. And I kept hearing, you can call it whatever. I kept hearing my parents talk to me that night, and, my dad always said, rent the building out, you have a place to live, which I'm very, very blessed to have that. And, do you really want, all those things, do you really want to work for somebody else? Where are you going to live? Can you get a house as cute? Because the house is darling that I live in. It all needs remodeling again because that was over 30 years ago. So it needs a lot of work again now. But I was like, I can't do it right now. So I did, which was wonderful. I did take one of my parents' ideas, and my first hope was to have a hope and healing center. And I met with quite a few healers and different people that do different things, and nobody could really commit. And then I was like, well, I need an income if I'm going to make the store a lot smaller. So I took half the building and put the wall up and made a rental area. And it was kind of like, if you build it, they will come. And so I thought, well, if I make this space, then something's going to happen with it. And so the Plumas Rural Services put the Dixie Fire Resource Center in the rental area. And that was just absolutely fabulous. The girls that ended up working in there were just great neighbors, great to have around. The need is still there. But they moved out. They didn't have any more funding for that. And so they moved out in August. And so I'm actually looking for a renter for that now. I hosted the chamber meeting there, and I'm hosting a paint and sip party there.
Oh, when's that?
And I don't have the date picked yet, so the end of March sometime.
Oh, that's right around my birthday.
Oh,
March
perfect.
28th.
Perfect.
Okay,
You'll have to
I'll
bring
be
some
there.
girlfriends.
I'll be there. I'll be there for sure. We have the same girlfriends, so
Yeah.
I'll bring Oceana, all the girls.
Yeah. So anyway, so if till I find a permanent renter, I'm going to put that out there for people to rent, just for like parties, or if they want to do paint and sip or any kind of craft thing, because I love that, and I would go to anyone that was in there probably, because I don't get to do that anymore. I do make some floral stuff for the shop and arrangements and stuff like that, but I don't get to do as much as I would like to. So anyway, that's open for that, but I still need to find like a consistent 3-year lease or something for some type of business. So
How big is the space? Do you want to give any details?
It's 826 square feet, and there's 2 private locked offices. I actually staged one room for a massage therapy room or any kind of health work, because it's a nice dark room that is nice and quiet, and it would be great for anybody doing any kind of health or spiritual work or whatever. And then there's a nice bright little smaller office that could be used for bookkeeper, lawyer, whatever anybody that needs an office for. And then the large big area that can be used for whatever. I had a vintage piano donated, so I've got a piano in there. So
it's beautiful.
I would love to have some like open jam nights or something, with local musicians. I think would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully then when the grocery store and the hotel get open, we can bounce and do stuff together. Events together and stuff too. So, and I have quite a few events I do at the shop. I do the first Saturday market that I started about 5 years ago, which you get to come to that.
I'll be
I'm
there.
excited.
May. I'll be there.
Yeah.
May.
And so that runs from April through October, weather permitting, and we have vendors out in the parking lot and usually have somebody there doing lunch. And then I started 3 years ago hosting the worldwide Play Music on the Porch, which I love because I love music. And so that's really fun. That's always the last Saturday in August.
And what's that? How did that all come about?
Well, it's neat. I was following it on probably Facebook, and they've been doing it for maybe, okay, I can't, maybe 6 years or more. And it's a worldwide thing. What if everybody stopped everything they were doing and played music on their porch? And what a great idea. And so it's worldwide. I think they had like 800 and something locations all over the world, where on that Saturday everybody stops what they're doing and they sit on the porch. Well, my porch is a perfect porch for that. And so, and I've always loved that. I've always wanted to go to the South, and the little guys on the old Victorian houses that are sitting on the porch playing and stuff. And so that's kind of what it's all about. And so some businesses do it, but most of it is just people on their porches just playing music. And it's a really neat site what they have, because you can go on there and I can post who's playing on my porch, but then somebody in Louisiana is doing it, somebody in England is doing it, and you can follow their site and you can see these people all over the world playing music on that day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's really neat. Yeah, so
I'm gonna have to look into
so that was kind of a really fun thing. And then our Christmas open house we've been doing since the beginning too, and that started over at the hotel, and it's always the first weekend in November. And we used to have anywhere from 12 to 15 to 20 different themed trees. Well, now I'm down to like 5 or 6 trees.
Still a lot of trees.
Because there's not that much there. And, ornaments aren't that big of a deal anymore. People just don't, they do like themed things. They don't like unpack childhood memories and all of that, which I think is really sad. Because like some of the 4 generations that I have, that's their tradition. They come up Thanksgiving weekend, they cut their Christmas tree, and they come into the shop and buy an ornament. For each one of the kids gets to pick out an ornament. And that's kind of it. It's getting lost. I mean, people just don't do that anymore. They go to a chain and buy, I'm going to do all red and white this year, I'm going to do all blue this year, and they're beautiful, but it's not sentimental.
Right.
I mean, I cry every year when I do my trees. So, because it's just like, oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
So
my grandpa, both my grandparents, they would take like our artwork that we did as kids, and they would take a ribbon and make a little string with it, and their Christmas tree is all of all the grandkids' artwork. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. That sentimental is.
Yeah, and I have a few
better.
people that like do the picture frame ornaments too of their kids' school picture every year, and that's really fun too.
Yeah.
Just so sentimental. I'm really sentimental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of why I started doing this, because I do like the custom gifts.
Yeah.
And I like when people get their names on things, or like engrave a message at no extra cost.
Yeah.
Or it just, especially in this time where there is a lot of over consumerism, I think when you have heartfelt things, it's more special than
it is.
Than going to the store and getting anything red and anything
white.
Well,
and it's like this coaster you made me, and it's funny because I'm that way with the books. I mean, you wrote something special on the back of it, and I always tell people that with books, sign and date the book, because it's like, that's, 30 years down the road when their kid is reading that book, they know that Grandma Smith gave it to you in 1965 or whatever.
Right.
You probably, weren't even born then, but, it's neat, that kind of, I love that sentiment. But then it's also sad too. You go to a yard sale and you pick up a book and somebody's heirloom is gone, but sometimes the generation stops.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when it gets passed down, sometimes, like, I'll cut this out, but like my grandma has way too much stuff. She has, and maybe that's just some generations. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people, I think sometimes it's too much and it's
Yeah,
overwhelming.
for the next generation. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've been to a lot of estate sales like that. They'll call me and I'll go into the house after somebody passes to like buy stuff. And I'm like, are you sure all the family has looked first? Because to me, that's a priority. It's like, every kid and grandkid and everybody needs to look first and take what they want. And they're like, oh, yeah, there's just too much. They've all taken what they want.
Yeah.
And that to me is sad, but it's like I also get it too because my house is like that. I only have one son. So he's like, get rid of this stuff before, but he's a junkie too. So
Oh, goodness.
yeah, so he loves his stuff too. He grew up going with grandpa. After I was working, then he would go to grandpa he'd stay the night with grandma and grandpa Friday night and then get up Saturday morning and go to yard sales with grandpa. And so he loves stuff too.
Yeah.
So
How awesome.
yeah, it's in the blood.
Yeah. So what's some of the coolest stuff you've found?
Oh gosh, I think probably one of the very first funnest estate sale we went to was over in Loyalton, and that's kind of when I first started with mom and dad, and it was an old farmhouse over there, and the guy was probably in his late 80s, maybe early 90s, and his wife had passed. And the house had been in the family. I think he was second or third generation. So, the house was from like the 1800s or something. And that place was packed full of stuff. And I think it was one of the funnest. And I love that. I love getting dirty and grungy and really hunting.
Digging through?
Yeah, and climbing through a barn or something. I mean, I'm totally like the American Pickers.
I was going to say American
yeah,
Pickers.
I mean, I love that. And so we would buy like a whole hutch, the hutch for the furniture, and then whatever was in it, we just offered him money for the whole thing. And so it was a surprise when we went to go pack everything up, what we found. A lot of it had to be taken to the dump because it was broken and glued. A lot of it was yard sale. A lot of it was for the store. But on that one, when we got to the upstairs, and there was like beautiful pictures that he only had one son and he had taken what he wanted and he didn't want anything else but the curved glass and the hand carved frames. And so we got upstairs and we were digging like into little cubby holes like into the attic and stuff. And then I saw the attic door and I'm like, what's up there? And he goes, nobody's been up there for 40 years
You're
at
like,
least.
Score.
And he's like, you want to go up there? He's looking at this young girl, and I'm like, yeah. And so I go up there and there's dead bats and mice and, it was nasty, dirty. But I found this beautiful print that I believe was from, I want to say probably early 1900s, late 1800s, kind of sepia toned, and it had water damage on it. I still have it hanging in my bedroom.
Oh my god.
And then there was an old gun up there that was broken, so that became a wall hanger in our house. And that kind of stuff is just the fun stuff when you really dig. But I don't know what would be like the coolest thing that we ever found. I mean, we found really neat like lamps that the inside, the heat of the light bulb, it's painted on the outside. The glass is hand painted with like a brass, and then on the inside there's a light bulb that the heat from that, there's a little cardboard thing, and it makes the plastic with the other design spin around.
Oh, wow.
And those things are really neat. I still have that. Some stuff doesn't make it to the store.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, we've just, and my parents loved Asian stuff too. My dad loved the Native American stuff, but my mom and dad both loved Asian stuff, and we bought different, ivory and different hand-carved things, and just a lot of really fun stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But everything has a story.
Right.
And those things that I've kept. And it's also neat too, like if something comes into the store and I can tell somebody, I got this over at an estate sale in Genesee Woods, and it belonged to this lady, and her husband did this and this and this, and they got it when they traveled the world. Mm-hmm. That's kind of fun to be able to pass those stories on, where if I buy something at a yard sale, a lot of times I don't know the history of it.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Is that part of the reason why? Because we talked about the fact that neither of us sell stuff online.
Yeah.
So is that part of the reason why? Do you feel like that story just doesn't translate?
Yeah, and I just, to be honest, I hate computers. They give me a headache almost instantly when I have to do computer work. I just think that there's no personal touch to it, where it's like, I love it when somebody comes in the store and I can give them a hug, and I love it, like if I know them and I know their history or I know what they're looking for, it's like some of the real estate girls have come to, and actually, I have another real estate guy that has bought from me for years when a house closes. And it's really fun because they tell me a little bit about the house, a little bit about the people, and I can help them find a gift. You can't do that online.
No.
I mean, you can click and go, oh, this is really cool, and it says Indian Valley, but it's like, I call those guys and I talk to the owner of the company in San Francisco, and then when I do Indian Valley stuff from you, I can talk to you. I mean, we can sit down and do it together, and I like that. I like the personal of it.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to get that one online.
Yeah.
Even I have a hard time even doing like Facebook posts because I'm like, it's really hard to get it across, how really cool that really is. It's like you can't feel those socks online.
No, and pictures never do the stuff justice.
No, and sure you could go on, online and go to Temu or Amazon and find those something similar, and plus it's not supporting a local business.
That's the most important thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel I've never purchased anything from Temu.
Yeah.
I'm in crafting.
Yeah.
Primarily, and I spend a lot of time with crafters, and I know a lot of crafters that purchase things.
Yeah, because you do the
Temu.
shows and stuff. Yeah.
But I just can't. I just don't trust it.
Yeah.
I don't trust it. I don't know what the quality is going to be like. I don't know if that particular merchant that's on Temu is going to rip off my card number. I would rather spend a little bit more to get it from somebody that I know and put that money back into the community.
Well, and then too, and it's always, I mean, we don't have a lot of craft supply around here anymore because they couldn't make it. I mean, we've had fabric stores here, we've had, little crafter bead shops and stuff, and it's really hard in a small community because so many people do go online and shop, and that's really hard, being a brick and mortar store. It's hard when somebody comes in the store and like, I can get that book at Costco or I can get that online or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but, do you get a cup of tea with it?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, and, are you helping somebody locally,
And they say it right in front of you, too.
Oh, yeah.
Right in front of you, like, oh.
Well, and even at craft fairs, and I grew, like I said, I grew up going to gun shows. And, my dad would leave me at the table at 12, 13 years old while he would go shopping, and somebody would come and, and then I'd have to wave at my dad to come back to the table or whatever. But it's like, sometimes it's kind of hurtful. Well, I can get this same thing over there for less money, and that's why I quit doing Yankee Candles. I can't compete with Target and Walmart and Scheels and, Cabela's and all that.
Right.
And I don't want to. I want something that's more special. I mean, I think Macy's carries Aromatique, but they do like one fragrance at the top of the stairs, for the holidays or whatever, where it's still special, know. And then the other little lines and stuff are, special. It's not that I don't buy, I think that that publisher, he just sold out, and the author of the books owned the publishing company. So when you call, it's like a real small company, and so it's nice because you can talk to the people.
Yeah.
All of the vendors and some of the sales reps, like I said, I've had for, over 20 years. We had some sales reps so long that they've passed on since, but, and that's getting to be a lost thing too, because sales reps used to come to see us at the store and sell us their wares, and they'd have a carload of samples and stuff like that. Well, now with the price of gas, it's not cost effective for them to come up here. I have one jewelry rep that I just love that, God, we've known her probably for 25, 30 years. and she camps over by Gray Eagle. And so she comes up when she brings samples and comes up when she's camping and comes over and works a little bit, but I'm sure that probably helps pay for her trip.
Right, you can write it off.
Yeah, and what was really nice is back in the day when there was sales rep, they would protect territories. Like say if I was buying Aromatique, they wouldn't take it and sell it in Quincy or Chester or out in Taylorsville when Jackie had her store. You know, they were really good about protecting that. Now there's no protection unless you deal with somebody local, because like if I go order something at market, and it's really hard up here because all of our zip codes are different. Even though we're close, the zip codes are different, and so like if I buy a product at market, that doesn't mean that, you know, they're not going to have it in Chester or Quincy or whatever, because the sales reps don't have a clue.
Right.
You know, and they're in Vegas or wherever, and the zip codes are different, so they don't really protect it. Where if you establish a one-on-one relationship with a sales rep, then we can say, you know, well, Quincy's only this far and this far, because of what I've seen over the years is ladies will spend a whole day shopping and going to lunch, and they hit all the stores. You know, they'll do all of Quincy, and then they'll come and do, you know, Crescent Mills, and we, you know, Josh used to have a store in Greenville, and, you know, they would hit all of them. Well, they don't want to see the same stuff.
Right.
You know, so you want it to be special.
Yeah. So what advice would you give someone, like, for me, I'm in the crafting, I make things, and I've actually have gotten pushback from retail store owners because they say, like, hey, every time we work with somebody local, they put the same thing in every single store.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody that is maybe crafting and wants to get their things into a retail store?
I would say protect your clients, you know, or do different products. Like say if, you know, whatever your signs or whatever, just make sure you don't do the same ones, or maybe even just do signs for one store and then do your dog tags and your, you know, whatever things in another store. You know, don't overlap, because you don't want people to see the same stuff and then it doesn't sell anywhere because they're like, God, this is everywhere. You know, and so that makes it hard.
Yeah.
You know,
or the pricing's inconsistent on your own product. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah, because somebody else might price it different, you know, and that's what I've done when I bought from, like, you know, any of my vendors for like the Saturday markets, is I'll say, you know, so I want to price it the same that you price it, you know, because you want it to be consistent. You don't want to go into one store and say, oh my gosh, that's so much more.
Right.
But then like major brands like Republic Tea or Stonewall Kitchen, you know, I have to pay more shipping, and I'm not a big company. So, you know, they might have like Republic Tea at Barnes and Noble's, but they can order, you know, 50 cases of it and distribute it to, you know, 3 different stores, where I can only do a small amount, you know. And, you know, that's what I've been a big defender of, like, grocery store, because even back when we had the hotel, it's like even the produce or the meats or whatever, when you're small, you don't get the price break as the big guy, you know. And like our small independently owned grocery stores, they don't get the price break. Costco doesn't, you know. I don't get the price break on calendars and books and stuff that Costco does, because how many zillions of stores do they have?
Right.
You know, so you have to take that in consideration, and that you're supporting somebody's livelihood.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's like when you go into a small mom and pop store, the prices are not marked up like just to get you. It's because, you know, you're working with different circumstances.
Well, and it's like right now, it's like I'm getting emails from so many companies, the tariffs with everything that's going on now. I mean, now that's going to be another thing. From anything that's imported is going to be crazy expensive. And the sad part is you do want to buy all USA made, but some things you can't.
Yeah.
You know, even with your crafting projects, you know, some things you just cannot get in the United States that you can afford.
Right.
You know, it's crazy. So
it's crazy how made in the USA is such a big selling point, even though we're in America. Like that should be the standard. You would think, at least, like that would be the standard. Like we have our own stuff, but it's just not. And that's why some of us are forced to go to Temu and you know, so I don't know. It's kind of like you could see both sides of the coin.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's like, the imported stuff, some imported stuff is really nice. One example was the Old World Christmas that we've carried since the beginning. Originally, the originals were made in Germany and then mass produced there and then sold all over the world. And then I want to say probably maybe 20 years ago, we got a letter and a sample ornament, and it had gotten too expensive for them to mass produce in Germany, the glass makers, because they're hand blown glass and then they're painted and hand painted and everything. And we got a letter that said that they could not afford to be made in Germany anymore, that they couldn't do that. So they were going to use a place in China. And my mom at first was like, I'm not buying it anymore, and then it's like we compared that sample ornament from China to the original ones from Germany, and actually the newer one, the quality looked better, because I think they were working really hard on their quality control, to make that company work for that. So, there's some weird things that happen like that. But I mean, I still have some of my mom's, the original Old World ones. And, that's just memories and special. Yeah. And I have a lot of customers that's all they buy, but their price keeps going up. And now with the tariff, I don't know, every year I buy less and less because it's just too expensive. Even the collectors don't want to buy them.
Yeah.
So.
And it's one thing if it's expensive for you to buy, but then you have to think, okay, even if I do buy it and it's this expensive, am I going to be able to sell it?
Yeah.
And now I'm out this new expensive price. Yeah. So that has to be kind of nerve-wracking.
And then you have to hope that you sell it half off and at least get your something back,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it makes it hard.
This town, our community, is very seasonal.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with having a store really in a seasonal town?
It's really hard. And, we've been at it so long. And, I mean, we've seen all the crashes, economy. The COVID actually wasn't that bad. The fire was the most devastating, and it really, I wouldn't say it was the fire because we had a lot of looky-loos after the fire that came up to the area to see, which was very heartbreaking because, you felt like they were ambulance chasers coming to see the disaster.
Right, and like you didn't care about us before.
Yeah, and so that part was really hard, but yeah, all the different changes in the economy and everything, and it's hard because people don't. The online shopping has really been hard for brick and mortar stores, and we've seen it all. I mean, with my parents and stuff, and I do think that I do get burnout sometimes. I'm like, I just want to sell, but it's like, what am I going to do? Yeah. But you do definitely get burnout. But it's like now the last month I've been in there decorating and cleaning and moving and buying new stuff, and then it's like, oh, this part's fun.
Right. It's very like we go along with the seasons of the business.
Yeah. And we used to, the fourth quarter, the winter time used to be where it was our busiest time, because of our big Christmas open house and the holidays and all that. But it's not like that anymore. It's more just kind of consistent the whole season, all the seasons. And we don't have bad winters like we used to either. But yeah, it's not really seasonal. And I do rely on the tourists and the people with summer homes and all of that. That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's a lot of locals that have shopped forever, so that's always good.
We're only a few months away from the summer surge.
Yeah.
So come and visit Plumas County, Indian Valley, Crescent Mills. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So you've seen a lot of changes, and you've gone through the economy and COVID and the Dixie Fire. How have you seen things change for women in the industry?
Well, and I don't think I gave you a list, but, for industry, just women in business, I think Plumas County, Lassen County, Sierra County, I think there's so many women in business. It's not a big thing anymore for women to be in business and be successful. And, you know, I've seen that at market and my trade magazines, and, you know, the companies that I buy from, a lot of them are women owned. Um, it's not like a bad, you know, it's not like, oh, it's a really struggle anymore, because we get in, we get stuff done, you know, and there's so many, even just in Indian Valley, so many of the businesses are women owned, you know, and I think that's really powerful. I would love to have like a small convention of all the women in
We
the
should.
area.
We totally
You know,
should.
just because, and you know, and it's kind of funny, because it's like a little jealous, you know, it's like, oh shoot, they're being successful, and it's like, you know, when I talk to other women that like are starting businesses, it's like, you know, like Jody at Rusty Chandelier, and you know, some of the shops in Quincy, they're all young and they're just starting. It's like, I'm at the end, you know, I've been doing this forever, you know, and they're, you know, I think the first time I met you, you're like, well, do you want to do online? Do you want to do this? And I'm like, no, I'm done. You know, I just want to go to the shop, decorate, talk to people, and have it be a relaxed atmosphere. You know, I'm not like a real go-getter anymore. You know, I'm going to push it to where I can. You know, I want to keep it alive and keep it going, but I'm not like super aggressive like the young girls that I meet that are like really ready to get out there and fight for what they're doing. I'm just trying to stay above water, you know, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to, you know, I mean, you know, 6 or 7 years ago, a certain person told me there's no way you can make it in business, and you know, you're going to fail, you're mom and dad's little girl and you can't do it and stuff. And it's like, I've done it, you know, so now I feel good, you know, I've done it and I've made it work, you know, and I'm proud of it, and you know, my girls are proud of it, you know, and the people that care matter, and those that don't care don't matter. Those that are going to put you down don't matter.
Yeah.
You know, we need to stay strong and stay together, and, you know, any way that I can help you, you know, whatever. I'm thrilled that you and your grandma are coming. I just can't wait to see you tag team, and I
So
love
fun.
generational stuff. It's like, you know, I know I'm just going to hug her. I just can't wait to meet her.
Oh yeah, she's really excited. She knows all about your store because
Yeah.
she's been coming to Lake Almanor like for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, she always says like, "Oh, that really cute store." And I said,
Yeah.
"Guess who's coming on? The owner of that store. We're
Aw.
friends now." So
Yeah.
yeah, she's really excited. And when you talk about working with your mom, I hear things and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's like working with my grandma."
Yeah.
So
It's
special.
just, it's just the best, and I really miss that. But you know, my one best friend is, it's like, we're a tag team now. She helps me buy, and you know, she comes in and helps me price, and then my other two girls, 4 of us just took a trip together, and you know, so it's like, it's nice that we still have that. My mom started, gosh, I don't know how many years ago, what we called the birthday club, and it started out with 8 or 10 of us, and mom would host at her house, fix them whatever they wanted for dinner, and we'd have drinks and celebrate whose ever birthday it was. And at that time we had enough people, we had a party every month. Now we're down to like 4 of us that are left, you know. Some have passed on and some have moved away, but it's like, you know, we're the last of the birthday club, you know. And it's like, you know, we can't wait to figure out what we're going to eat and what we're going to, you know, do together. And you know, you don't get that if you were working in a corporation or in an office. Sure, they're going to buy you a cake for your birthday or something,
Right.
and, you know, but it's not the same.
The POS sheet cake from Walmart.
Yeah.
You know, not like a special sentimental cake.
Oh yeah, and we're all foodies, so we love that.
Oh, that's awesome. And, you know, I have to tell you, I have that bucket of snacks, right? And it's all just
Okay.
like packaged stuff.
Yeah.
And then I told Paul, I was like, oh my God, Lisa is like the queen of snacks. I said, well, yeah, at least have to get like one of those little charcuterie boards from the store. I was like, I can't just like get her flipping like granola bars in a package. I was like, she's like the queen of snacks. Like the jams are
and
delicious.
I love that stuff. I mean, I love everything. So.
Yeah. Okay, good. I was like, I have to at
Like
least.
charcuterie boards, that's like the best invention ever.
So good.
And seeing
So
your
good.
dogs, have you seen the ones that they make for dogs now? They do charcuterie boards for dogs. I know, can you believe it? But I know my dog would inhale the whole thing, and it would, you know, it would.
Oh
it
my
wouldn't go over
God,
well,
a
but-
dog cooterie board?
Yep, exactly.
I'm going to have to look into I might be making some of those.
I think it was on Facebook Reel or something, but I was like, oh, that is so cute.
I might have to make some. I'm gonna have to look into it. I'm gonna put it on my task to do. Is there any closing thoughts or any information you'd like to get out there?
Not really, I'm thrilled to do this. I mean, it's been fun. It's good, and I think we should think about doing something, some kind of like big group of all women in business. Call them all out and have them come do something. I think that would be
awesome.
fun. I'm looking forward to Saturday markets. We also do car shows.
Oh,
twice a
October,
year.
right?
Yeah, well, there's a spring one too, May and October, weather permitting. We always have to say that in the mountains. Yeah, so that's always fun too. So maybe Grandpa will bring his.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about for October. I might have them. It's been in the shop forever, getting upgrades.
Well, that's what money pits are.
Yeah.
I grew up doing cars with my dad too.
Okay, so you already know.
That's why I started doing the car show, because it was like Dad loved that so much, and I always feel his spirit when I do those, and it's great because it's just so low key.
Yeah.
It's not like no fees, no charge. It's just get together and talk about how much money you spend on your toy.
He would love that because he's been doing Hot August nights forever, and he doesn't go anymore. He's like, it's just not the same.
No,
it's not like
so
how it
big.
used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he would like the one here in Quincy too, and the one in Chester too. The one in Chester at the park, and then the one here at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Are both nice.
Well, I'll definitely talk to him
they're
about
not
coming
over
to yours.
big.
Yeah, and it's like family. It's not, like the one in Reno now is just kind of overran by rats.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom, or you said that now you're not in your go-getter era, you're in your relaxed era. So what would you say to yourself back when you first started all this?
Learn more about the business end of it.
Okay.
Which I've been able to, crawl through that area and think, like I said, thank God I have a good bookkeeper, but I would learn more about the business end of it. But it's actually really not that hard. It's just keeping on track of everything, and lots of, keep all your papers and stuff like that. One thing that was kind of fun that, I don't know if it's fun or not, but, I stash away every week when I do my banking, I stash my sales tax, because there was a lot of times when, we would have to say, can I borrow some money for sales tax? Well, if you pull that out when you total up your sales or whatever, you pull that out and stick it to the back, then, or stick it in the safe or a different account or something, then you have your sales tax money. And you're not scrambling trying to find it, because most likely you've already spent it if you don't stash it.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have any advice. Just love what you do, and I do love it. Like I said, I get awful tired sometimes, but I do love it, and I love the people. I mean, and I'm sure you found that at the craft fairs and stuff. The people are that's what makes it all worthwhile. Absolutely. It's like I'll be over it, done, and then somebody will come in and say how long they've been coming, and tell me a memory of my mom or my dad, and that makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much longer.
Well, we hope to have you as long as you'll stay, and it's definitely a state. I haven't even been here this long, and I can already see that it's a staple in the community. So. Yeah,
thank you.
You're very
I'm
loved.
excited to have you in the community too.
Thank you. It's been really nice. All the girls have been nice.
Yeah.
But I think that is a wrap, and thank you guys for watching. And be sure to reach Lisa. What are your current business hours?
Well, I'm still closed for the winter, but I will be opening up March 13th, Thursday through Saturday, 11 to 5, and then Sundays 11 to 4. And then the first Saturday markets are the first Saturday of every month. April through October, and they go from 9 to 2. My phone number is 530-284-6016, and we have a Facebook page. Car shows May and October. Worldwide play music on the porch the last Saturday of August, and then the Christmas open house is the first weekend in November, first full weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Awesome.
Okay.
Hope to see you girls there. And guys, too, if you want.
Yeah. I love your grandma's towels, too.
Aren't they adorable?
Yeah. Was that one of hers in the bathroom, too?
Yeah.